We're starting the meeting here it is November the 8th at 6:01 p.m. Waiting for our chair to come on board. Somebody's at the door knocking, so I'm going to mute you.
Kind of late. Well, they were supposed to be here several hours ago. I have a couple of friends that spend this time of year camping and traveling with their travel trailers, and
How's it going?
it can be challenging sometimes.
We
all the
are
things they go
recording
through.
now.
All right, it's 6:02 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Got myself, Steve, and Corey here. No members from the public.
Well, other than Nick.
Other than we have Nick online. Nick, I understand you might have an interest in joining the finance committee?
Let me unmute him right now. Unmute. Yes. There you go. It's up to you. Yes. Unmute.
I do. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Nick. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm Alan Flag. I'm the chairman. And we're down to 3 people. We used to have 5. Steve said some good things. So if you have an interest after you sit through today, let us know. I mean, we'd love to have you come on. Can you give me a little bit about your background? Just curious.
So financial wise, money wise, nothing crazy. I used to work in jails. Now I'm a state trooper.
Right. I knew you were a state trooper. Steven told me that. So,
But money wise, a financial background, nothing crazy.
okay. Well, that's okay. We've had members that are pretty fluent financially and others that just want to help contribute. So why don't you listen in and let us know if you want to join? We can sit down and talk about it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So the meeting is in order. Any public comments or inquiries any of you have received? Corey, Steve?
No, other than something with a cable committee thing where it has nothing to do with finance, but I forwarded it off to the board of selectmen.
As info for cable.
Yeah,
So I'll
so
have it up and running in my house in about 10 days.
really,
Yeah. They were out putting the lines up for the cable yesterday. I walked out and talked to him and the guy said, well, your house, if this was your house, the stone house, he said, the pole's live. He said, all you gotta do is have a drop line put in. So I
Oh,
called
okay.
Charter immediately and they've got a crew coming on the 20th to put the drop line in, so.
And then I had this lady say that on the 2nd of November, they cut her line to the 7th and then they reconnected it. No customer service, like supposedly her line was giving back feed. I was like, this is ridiculous. Again, another issue of them not communicating properly with the customers. So.
Anyway, not the finance
Yes.
committee's issue. I just thought I'd mention that because I know you've been pretty involved in it.
Yes.
And Corey, you've got nothing that's come in or anything? No, okay. A couple things I'd like to go over. First would be, since we haven't got a screen set up to project stuff, I kind of printed things out.
Well, we could if you wanted to ever hook up your computer. We're more.
Yeah, no, I know we could. I just haven't got
Yeah,
that
it's all
far
right.
yet. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was the communication to the town department heads. The letter on top is what Maribel sent out last year. Pretty simple as far as the directions. It's really just asking everyone to do what they've done in prior years. So I've started, and both of you, I hope, would help with this and look at it. I've drafted some thoughts on what might help get better information in the budget. And Maribel and the Board of Selectmen will be sending this out with 3 years of history and the current expenses through November, and it'll be going out in early December is the last thing we talked about. So I'd like you two to look at this, and if you have suggestions to rewrite some of it, I would appreciate it. I'll send you an electronic copy so you can do it electronically. I just, again, without having it hooked up for electronics here tonight, I thought I'd print it. And really what I'm trying to get to is a point where they look at the 3 years history and they look at what they really need, and some people will do that and some won't. Each year this past year we had $220 some thousand turned back in to the town that'll go into free cash for next year. And I'd like to see that down some level so that we're not budgeting money that never gets spent. That just doesn't help. So if you guys, I'll send it to you. I know you, Corey, you like to look at stuff like this. If you would take some time and look at it. And I'm trying not to make it owners. I want it to be easy that, one pager, read this, follow the directions, and we'll have a cleaner budget when we get to that point in time.
You know, my position on this, the level set budgeting, I don't agree with. I'd rather have more money in our account for like when you have, go over, like we can expense it, but like, what if you don't go over? I want like year over year to like, dude, you didn't spend $5,000, you spent $3,000, give it back to the town. That's where I.
Right, because there are places where we could use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of trying to give a little more direction than what we've done some of the prior years. Next item up, I don't know if either of you two had a chance to look at the October expense to actual report that came out. That's the one that's highlighted in gray there. Mine's yellow, but I didn't copy in color, so.
It's cool.
Is that the one the accountant just emailed?
It's only like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
So if you haven't looked at it yet, I did go through it this afternoon for a little bit. There really isn't anything dramatic, but a couple things caught my eye.
The police they still have $8,000 left, and I think that's gonna go away, right? Because of the budget that he submitted.
Yeah, we'll get to, I got some new stuff on that I'll get to, Steve. I know you, that's right, you were at the BOS also,
Yeah.
but I put my comments out to the side on the right there, and I really didn't think you guys would have time to have looked at it by now. But if you would take a look and see if you see anything else new. And also,
I believe the fire and training wages is because he got a grant to do that.
okay. See, I didn't know that.
That's what I believe he had, because they went to the training. And again, I'm assuming, so you know what that means. So, because it says zero budgeted amount, year-to-date amount is this, and then year-to-date variance is the same, right? So I think that he's always like up on all of that, so.
I'm gonna send some, I wanted you guys to look at first, see if you had any thoughts.
Yeah.
That I didn't know, so that's a good thought. I'm gonna send an email probably to the various folks that are involved here. Just to make sure that they're all looking at the same information. The Council on Aging, they're not using the director's stipend. I don't know how they're paying Melanie, because, she hasn't been paid out of what was set up for her yet this year. That's 4 months in. So they're paying her somewhere.
The nutrition plans, I'm guessing, getting just deducted because it's at 2,400 budgeted. They've used 2,050. So there's 350. I think that just comes out auto.
Okay,
That's just my opinion.
okay. And the library part-time wages, it's the first time I've noticed this. I didn't notice it last time. They've almost used up, 3/4 of their budget also for part-time wages, similar to what the police department was doing.
And their budget doesn't close until April or
June,
June.
the end of the
it's a
year.
lot of money.
So, again, I don't know if either one of you had a chance, if you had anything else, but if you see anything else that jumps out at you, let's take a look and we'll get it to the various departments. And just ask them to look at it.
Sounds good.
Let's see. New business, that's really all I had on the budget planning. Corey, have you and Suzanne had any contact?
Yeah, so she's still not available until the week 13th, so
Okay.
it's coming up quick. But I did text her last week or the week before and say, could you just give me some tips? I'm kind of playing with the Excel sheet, because I had always used VLOOKUP. She says she uses XLOOKUP. And
It's the same thing.
she just texted me back some items of like, this is kind of what I did, and I have not
Because really,
successfully been able to do it yet.
the cover letter that you guys have now have in hand, really the budget for next year is kind of dependent on being able to get to 3 years. I mean, the budget will be done either way, but if we get 3 years history, I think we can have a better view. So if you can work with her on that, and even if she has to help on some of it just to get it ready. She told me she would in the
Yeah.
past, but I know she's got some issues going on, so.
I believe we're about a week out from when she said she would have some time.
Okay. Let's see, the selectmen, new business. They have set the date for the special town meeting, which will be December 11th. They issued the warrant on October 31st, which was the last Board of Selectmen's meeting. I was there, Steve was there, or you were dialed in.
No, I was there in Dallas, yeah.
Both, yeah. And it closes this Friday. So I did send them, I think I copied you guys on the assessor's warrant article that was left off inadvertently for the annual town meeting.
Yes.
So Don has assured me that they will put that on because what it's for is the assessor has to do I think it's every 5 years, they have to do a full reevaluation of property values.
Correct.
And so we set,
How
They've
many
been
years
putting-
is it?
Is it 3 or 5?
I think it's 3.
Is it 3? Okay, I'm not sure. I didn't ask. But I asked him to make sure that article was in there because we want to make sure that's funded when we get ready to have the assessors reassess all the properties in town.
And then we already got the variance, like remember the cabin houses with or the,
Right, the log cabins.
yeah, like something happened with that,
Yeah.
right? And they gave the money, I hope
I think that was all worked out. I don't think it worked as smoothly as everyone had hoped, but I believe everyone, I don't know for a fact. That's not something we see numbers on
No,
as a finance
right,
committee,
but I'm just,
but they
you know,
did. They
that
did
was like from,
overcharge.
right,
That was
exactly.
like, so, but that wasn't from a reassessment. That was from the billing process.
Oh, okay, all right, that's what I was getting
Yeah,
confused
yeah,
about.
no,
Was
wasn't
it part of
that
an
they-
assessment? Because I
No,
thought that already
was
was
That
happening.
was the way they billed. They put in, I mean, I used to think of it as someone put in a fat finger number, it was supposed to be 1 for everyone, and somehow log cabins were like 1.25 or something was the rate instead. I forgot the
And
numbers.
there's a lot of log cabins in this
There
town.
was like 50 or 60 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And I was under the same impression as Steve. I thought that it was an assessment
I don't
issue.
think
That's what I thought it was too.
I thought it was a calculation error.
Okay. No, I'm.
I
believe
trust you, I trust you. I thought it was, that's what I'm saying, like all of a sudden we're doing another assessment.
Do we need to revise this? Because this says annual town meeting?
When I talked to Don, he said they would take care of it, so I'm assuming they'll revise it. I'll ask him. I'm actually going to send him a note on Friday reminding him to make sure it gets in.
Just for
So,
future
yeah, no,
record.
that's a good point.
record
That's a good
points.
point, yeah. See what else we have here. So free cash. The town has been certified with $447,845 in free cash. So that counts the 220, I think it was 226,000 that was turned back into the budget, and it's all been certified. So we're about back where we were last year. I think we ended last year a little over 500. Does that sound about right?
I believe so.
512, 515.
There were
But-
some preliminary 550 numbers, I thought I
Yeah, but in
remembered,
the school budget,
and it kind of wiggled down.
yeah.
So that's good. It's more than I had expected. We just have to manage it because eventually it's not gonna be that great.
I was gonna say, how do we save it for the school next year?
Yeah.
Dude, because it goes up every year, but anyway,
Final piece of paper I brought.
yes, this is what I wanted to talk about.
The police part-time salary and wages.
So,
So I don't know, Corey, I don't know if you're up to speed on this, is what's been going on.
I knew they were close on budget,
So
so
they,
the chief was working a lot of hours himself to help.
yeah, two things happened. One, and I don't know where the fault for this lies, because there were so many changes in the budget the last week or 10 days before we went to the town meeting. The chief had committed more than once, and I got it written down in my notes, so I know, that he would be able to operate the town with 40 hours for Officer Matt Erosion, which is the full-time officer,
and himself.
and himself, and then 32 hours. He was very emphatic that he needed 32 hours of part-time help.
Which, again, I'm not trying to overspeak. So he said he was gonna get rid of some part-time officers,
Mhm.
which, cool, whatever's clever, just as long as you cover the hours that we need, I'm down to clown, right? And that's why I wanted to go for him to be full-time, because I want full-time officers in town. I've been emphatic about that. But what's going on? Because like these wages, do we not get rid, are we waiting a little bit longer to get rid of some folks? Is it a personnel thing?
So one of the things, there's a couple of things that came into play, I felt. One, I went back and basically to square one and said, okay, what should the 40 hours plus 40 hours plus 32 hours cost us? And based on the numbers the chief gave us, we underfunded him by 5 hours a day for part-time help.
Really?
Yeah.
A
we-
day for the whole year?
Yep, we've underfunded him. It's supposed to be funded for 32 hours, and we actually funded him for 27 hours.
That's not right.
I don't know, I'm pretty sure I know what happened, but I don't know, I can't say I have any verification this is what happened, but because he kept saying he could cover his full-time salary or his salary for going full-time out of the part-time and training budget.
That was a confusion.
He and Don, again, the finance committee wasn't part of it. He and Don, I don't know who made which numbers fit the budget so he could fund the 90,000 for full-time chief position. But when they did that, I think that's when they cut the money that was in the part-time budget from 32 hours down to 27 hours. And I don't think they realized they did it when they did it. I think it was like one of those, again, just the way Don made it sound like, okay, that may have happened.
So we need to talk to the,
So I brought this up at the Board of Selectmen's meeting last week. So they heard me say this exact same thing I'm saying to you, that there was a mistake made in the budget. I didn't point any fingers, and Don kind of made the comment, well, it could have been, we missed some of it due to the salary changes. And I don't know how we missed it, but somehow it got missed. And I really think it was, if you go all the way back to Suzanne's spreadsheets, she always had enough in there to fund the part-time officers at 32 hours a week. So it came out after we said, this is the final spreadsheet, someone made changes. So I'm assuming that was the Board of Selectmen and Don working with the chief. And they just didn't realize they reduced the part-timers. So, which brings us to this here. This is what Fred, the chief, brought to the meeting last week on Monday. And he, in essence, said he had gone back through, and before he started, I made my comments that I think we underfunded him by right at $5,000, which is the 5 hours. And when you do the math, that's what it works out to,
Okay.
about $5,000. He came back and said he needs $6,249 for part-time wages for the rest of the year. The reason that works is he has a couple of grants, one for $9,000 and another one with $3,300 left in it from last year. So he gets to use, as long as he charges, in there, it's available for him to charge wages to it. It's that kind of grant. So he's going to use those grants, and he requested an additional $6,200
for what?
for part-time wages. So
Did they have to
5,000,
go over anything?
did he what?
Did they have to go over anything because of all the work that's been done on the roads, anything with?
Again, I'm telling you what he asked for.
Okay.
I mean, I can't tell you what he built into it. He's talked for 10 minutes, and he said he had
That was a
gone through
long
it in
day.
detail. And he said if the town would agree to $6,200 and 49 cents and 28 cents, he didn't round anything up,
Because it's,
that would cover his part-time wages. And again, I think we owe him 5. I think we made a mistake. I don't
Okay, I
know who
agree
made
with
it.
you.
We made, so really he's
1240.
he came up with 1,200 more that he thinks he needs to cover the part-time wages for the year, assuming that he can spend that entire 12,000 on the grant.
What, so where did the extra, my only question is, and I'm not trying to question them in a sense like, why? What's the extra 1249 for?
He said one of the things that he has been doing is instead of using officers, he's been using the 2 sergeants.
Oh, okay.
And the officers are, I think, are at 1855, and the sergeants are at, I think he said 22 something. I didn't write it down.
Is it because scheduling, I would imagine, like depending on,
He mentions, he actually says they're more experienced officers if he
I'm down.
wants the best he can have.
I'd
I
rather
agree
have
with that too. So
me too.
so here's where we got left at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. Is I said, as chairman of the Finance Committee, will support it as a warrant for the town, special town meeting. I said, but it's really up to the other 2 guys. I said, they've got to want to support it also for us to vote that we're in favor of it. So I wanted you guys to think about it and let me know if, I'll make a motion. Matter of fact, I'll make a motion that we support the chief's request for an additional $6,249.28.
Because I will support that motion as long as we figure like, so look, 6249 is, it's a lot of money, right? And like, we might have missed it. If we think that we messed up on the $5,000, I'm down.
I don't think we messed up, but I think it got changed.
Something happened.
It got changed at the end, Steve.
Because I thought it
Somebody
was gonna
changed
be, because we sold it that way at the annual town meeting, right?
That's how he presented it. That's how
Right.
we had presented it, is that he was gonna move enough from training wages, or from
Right.
training and part-time
Make it
wages to
work.
cover the full-time to make it work.
That's what I,
Again, 5,000 I think is legitimate. I would,
and I get it. The 1249, dude. Yeah, they're more senior enough. I bet it's more about scheduling, like you
it could
have
be.
other folks that are going to different jobs, that are working for the Department of Corrections or whatever else. And like, they might not be available, but these sergeants are, right? I don't know. And I didn't get to
I
ask
think
him.
Fred's pretty straight up, stand-up guy.
Yes, he
He's a
is.
Good guy.
And he hasn't said anything or done anything in the sense that has left me to question that. I guarantee it's the 2.
Yeah,
Right.
again, I just think a mistake was made that they just didn't, they tried to cut the numbers too tight.
Alan, I heard a question from Steve that I didn't hear an answer to.
Yes.
And I'll rephrase it. In the town of Ocam, detail officers are paid by the contractors, aren't they? So when National Grid works on the street, aren't they paying the
Yes.
detail
Yeah,
officers?
detail officer
But
paid
this
by
is for
the,
like
whoever's
scheduling,
hiring them.
right, the part-time hours in regards to, hey, I don't have anybody from Tuesday between 2 and 5, right, or something like that.
So if we calculated $5,000, he was shorted, and then I don't know about you guys, but he put in here investigations, which I would see that as above and beyond the calculations when we were talking straight hours. Investigations aren't gonna always fall within your 9 to 5, those are gonna be extra hours. So right there to have an extra $2,000, the way I see it, we shorted him 7, because I never would have thought of investigations, and they're gonna require time outside of normal. And so I support it.
One of the big things is that Fred actually talked about to me, I don't think he brought it up in the meeting, because he and I chatted before a few times. Actually stopped by Lucy's house because his vehicle was in the driveway. And I go by her house. I
Yeah, of
mean,
course,
you know,
it's right there.
She's on the board of selectmen. I go by her house all the time when I'm out. And his car was just like, get out, and then yelled at him. I didn't want him to think I was gonna come walking in the house or something. And he had stopped by on his own just to check the place out.
Good.
And he has permission from Lucy to go in and make sure everything's okay on the inside. Of course, her dog Archie was there. And Archie's, and I are pretty good friends. He comes to our house sometimes and
Of
hangs
course.
around. But the chief on his own was there, and her basement was flooded. So he was working to unflood her basement. He was having the.
He does
fire
things
chief-
like that,
I mean, that's, so I think he's a good guy. He's
And it just, is what I'm saying makes sense, though?
No, it does.
In the hour calculation of 40, 40, and 32, the vacation time coverage that should be accounted
Yeah,
for.
of course.
The sick time coverages should be accounted for. That's all included.
Yeah.
The investigations is something that
We
I
don't, that just, you can't account.
actually, you know what he said? He said one of his biggest expenses has been having an officer sit in court. Because they've had a couple of
and you can't control the time.
fairly, right, they've had a
And
couple
it's
of
in the
fairly
paper.
significant cases.
And it's in the paper that like the citations that are, if you want to look at historical view, we have to, we could look at the paper and like from the last year and find out, okay, so there was a citation issued, right? And then from there, that they have to go to court because they have to follow up on that, or a citation or like warrant issued or whatever. And so-
But I'm saying the officer can't control that. If he has to.
I'm just giving you
You're right.
empirical
You're
evidence
right.
that you have to support that claim.
He could be out of there not an hour later or 5 hours later.
But I would like, I'm gonna support him no matter what, but dude, if we ask him to come in like next week, and I'm not saying we do that.
My only question is that number enough? Is that gonna,
He was asked that question in the Board of Selectmen's meeting, and he said yes. He said, because he's got the 12,000 in grant money sitting there, and there's some other grants he thinks he's gonna may possibly have.
we just have this opportunity with a special town meeting to make sure he's fully funded through the year?
He was asked that question as bluntly as you just said it, and he said
Because I wanna
yes.
make sure that.
He said the
happens
6,200 will cover it. So
with his projections.
with his projections, yeah, and that does include all of this, other stuff up here.
Do you think he's taking into account that he has to go to court so much though?
I can't answer that, Steve. I don't know. I mean, we chat sometimes, we keep,
You never know what's gonna come down the pike. That's
he
the
stops
problem.
at the house once in a while and we chat in the yard and things when he sees me out there, but I just.
I chat with him every time I
believe
see
he
him.
took- Yeah, I think he's taken everything into account.
Of course he
That he
does.
believes he should. So,
He lives in this town.
so anyway, I would support it. It's up to you guys.
I support it.
I support,
The 6,200 is.
I'm just concerned it's a little low. So that's
And
my,
again, I will bring that up. I'll be at next week's Board of Selectmen's meeting.
I'll be able to.
You'll probably be dialed in.
No, I'll be
You'll be
here
here,
physically.
To reconfirm that with him, but, if we're all in favor, as we have an official vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we'll support the 62, and if there's more, we'll consider it based on what he has to say.
this is nice. Did he put this together?
Yeah.
He did, yeah, it was nicely put together. I think he did a good job with it. I have no old business. Either one of you have any old business?
No. I have nothing.
Just thinking back through the emails.
The minutes from the last meeting, Corey, included, I know you saw them, because you said they were fine, right? Include the comments on the payment of personal vehicle use taxes by the highway. And that we're basically gonna take the position that we've done all we could to advise the Board of Selectmen, we feel this is an issue for the town. Outside counsel has said they feel it's an issue for the town,
It is.
and it's up to the Board of Selectmen to change the town policy. They're talking about a couple of meetings. He and Aaron spoke at the Board of Selectmen's meeting about a couple of things they need to do to start rewriting town policy, so that I believe is on that agenda.
Okay.
So beyond that, I have no other old business myself, so.
Me either.
Okay.
Sorry, did we have a follow-up? There was, you mentioned it earlier tonight as well with the Council of Aging. She got a $300 raise or something like that. Were those numbers ever straightened out?
No, that's what I showed you. If you went back to the
That was the
spreadsheet,
first-
10,300, because it shows 10,300. So she got the 300. Her budget is 10,000 plus the 300 that was voted in. The budget's 10,300. So far, even though 4 months have passed, they paid her zero out of that account. That's where I said they're paying, she's getting paid. I see her regularly. I've asked her, she's getting paid.
We
But
just don't know
whoever's
where.
coding the payment
It's not,
is miscoding it because it's not coming out of the money that was budgeted for her. So it's coming out of some other, I'm guessing the Board of Selectmen's account or
we
something.
should bring that up.
Well,
Oh,
we're
I
half-
did. I brought it up to him right. Yeah.
We're halfway through the fiscal year, so doesn't that mean about $5,000 has been miscoded?
We're 4 months through, yeah.
Oh, what's
4
for
months. So
reporting?
we're roughly a quarter of the way through.
Okay.
But it's still, yeah, it's still almost, it's what,
$3,000.
800 a month or something she gets? It's 10,000 a year, so it's about 800 a month.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, you're correct. No, you're right. But they had 1,900 left over from an account I noticed that is now overdrawn. It's in the spreadsheet there that I gave you
Yeah, I
guys.
saw that.
And it's another line item. So I think that's what they're paying her out of. And I don't know why they would do that because there is a budget for paying. So yeah, I've already brought it to their attention and they need to look at it.
Okay.
Any other old stuff? Anything you can think
Yes,
of?
sir.
No, okay. Let's see, the prior meeting minutes were from, I didn't print them.
It was the 20. Our last meeting was on.
October 11th? Yeah, October
Yes.
11th. We both got copies of them. I know you sent me a note back that you were fine with them.
Yes.
Steve, if you're good with them. So I would make a motion, we accept the minutes from the October 11th, 23 meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Hi.
Okay, so those are done. I'll send the Board of Selectmen and the town clerk a copy. And that's really all I had, guys.
Wonderful.
Um,
See you
anything?
Monday, Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I'll be at the Board of Selectmen.
Monday. or
Monday, I think it is. I
Monday.
think it's Monday. Anything else that you guys have on your mind you want to put out tonight?
Nothing else. Finance committee related.
No, I'm good.
All right, we'll adjourn at 6:30 then.
All right, thank you. Stop the recording.